150 yards, turn right onto Dover Road. Turn right onto Dover Road. Continue for 1.5 miles. In 300 yards, keep right to continue towards Tons Lane, A355. Keep right. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London, Heathrow Airport.
To make that decision.
Yeah, he came across in the interviews as a very, very committed individual. I'm grateful for your time, Dr. Pippa Malcolm. You served as Special Assistant to President George W. Bush 2001-2002. You wrote the book The Infinite Leader. Thanks for that. Let's get to the UK perspective now. Dominic Nichols is Defence and Security Editor for The Telegraph. He's also more than 20-year vet in the British Army, including he has served in Afghanistan, and he joins me now. Dominic, an extraordinary...
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
Good morning, Nick. I think that might be going a little far. I mean, if we spin this out, I agree with Joe Biden when he said it was a success 10 years ago. However, you've got to ask the question, right, well, who was in power at the time back then, and who was the vice president back then? So is he saying that he had so little influence over the president in the intervening years that they stayed? Maybe had these strong views that they needed to come out. Why was he unable to win the argument with his boss Obama at the time? So obviously there's some political questions that he
Continue on M4 for 5 miles.
years ago. And there's no denying that the initial aims were met, but then it took a complete knock-on trying to rebuild the country.
You're in a unique position, Dominic. You've done it. You've been brave enough to actually serve in the military for more than 20 years and serve in Afghanistan. And you're now a journalist, or you chronicle events. Your view of President Biden in this area, in his handling of this whole operation?
I think it's been a bit loose. I mean, what I argue with
down every single terror cell in and around Kabul and the whole of Afghanistan, but empty words, surely. The other big story was the end for Geronimo the alpaca. Sadly, they could not dodge DEFRA, but why will DEFRA not allow an independent vet to attend the post-mortem? Did the animal not have TB after all? We'll go into that in more detail after the 7:17 now. LBC Head News headline, Simon Conway.
UK officials are in talks with the Taliban to try to secure safe passage for British nationals and local allies who want to leave Afghanistan. Afghans who work for the British government and military will be allowed to stay in the UK permanently. Downing Street says ministers are still planning to make COVID vaccine passports compulsory in England's nightclubs from the end of this month. The weather dry but cloudy.
In 2 miles, at junction 4B, exit towards M3, M23.
The M1 southbound between the Newport Bagnall services and junction 14 at Milton Keynes, delays of at least half an hour, and that's where a lorry's overturned, and then it's slow on the M1 southbound to junction 13 at Bedford, where a car has broken down. In Waltham Abbey, it's very busy on Honey Lane both ways after an accident. The High Road Leighton stays closed both ways because of an ongoing investigation. Only one Woolwich ferry can run, that's all down to a technical problem, and on the underground there are minor delays on the Metropolitan line, and on the Jubilee line Southwark station is closed because of a shortage of staff.
LBC. Selling your car doesn't have to mean haggling with strangers or pretending to be a car connoisseur. Simply sell your car the motorway way. It's the new sell your car from home way. All while car dealers compete to give you the best price way. It's the you can get up to £1,000 more way. The your car gets picked up from home way. By the way, did we say it's the completely free way? This is the new way to sell your car. This is the motorway. Sell your car at motorway.co.uk.
Call Nick the Lorry now. 0345 6060 973. This is LBC.
Many people struggle with loose and missing teeth. Often their dentist has told them nothing can be done. Let the TDC team restore teeth, your smile and your confidence with our award-winning Smile in a Day dental implant treatment. Book your consultation today. Visit smileinaday.co.uk.
Imagine if we could spot an issue with your van before it became an issue. Imagine if we could plan vehicle repairs, parts and pickup before you arrive. You'd be back in business sooner. And could you imagine if you could have all that right now? We did. And that's why we created Ford Live. Because
In a quarter of a mile, at junction 4B, exit towards M3, M23.
work. It's your livelihood. And if it doesn't work, you don't. And we don't want that. To find out more, search Ford Live. We're with you on this journey. Ford Commercial Vehicles. Backbone of Britain.
Ford Live is available with connected Ford.
Exit at junction 4B, then keep right at the fork.
Come on, mate. Come on, let's go. Don't miss out on your 2 COVID jabs. Don't miss out on the good times. Over 2/3 of 18 to 30-year-olds have already had their first COVID jab. It's easy, and there's plenty of ways to get yours done quickly. Visit nhs.uk/COVID vaccination.
Keep right at the fork.
Or to find your nearest walk-in centre. Go on then. Don't miss out.
Nothing. We're told it's not a good choice. Can't choose what.
Continue on M25 south for 1.5 miles.
No, nothing doesn't go down well until now. Because Hyundai is giving you nothing. 0% APR over 3 years on Tucson models with nothing to pay up front. And with the Tucson winning the Auto Express mid-size SUV of the year, choosing nothing could be the best decision you make. Search Hyundai Tucson. Available until 30th of September. T's and C's apply. Hyundai Motor UK Limited is a credit broker and not a lender.
This is the sound of solicitor Jeremy bossing his invoices with Sage. Take control of invoicing, boss it, drive for free at sage.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Breakfast on LBC.
The British Motorway exclusive celebrating business card. Turn everyday purchases into profit.
Nick the Lorry and Breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973.
7:20, your calls in just a moment. I think Phil
In half a mile, at junction 14, use the left 2 lanes to take the A3113 exit to Heathrow Airport.
events in Afghanistan. Some of you will be deeply offended that Geronimo the alpaca is a free
Use the left 2 lanes to exit at junction 14, then keep right.
That's a first-person dispatch from the journalist that are actually talking to some of the people.
Keep right.
Afghanistan. The Guardian, why did they come if they wanted to leave us like this? Is again a review from someone left me in Kabul. Death to the west, and that's again what's being chanted in some parts of Kabul yesterday. Interesting line on the front page of the UK attempt Dunkirk by WhatsApp, and this is now, it would appear that they're trying
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Airport Way, A3113.
There's been a different aspect. UK is now in talks with the Taliban as 10,000 Afghan heroes to live here indefinitely. Geronimo is the front page of a couple of the other papers, the Sun and the Daily Star. Geronimo is the front page of the Sun. Fury as TB Rao alpaca's farm is raided, and a very punchy front page from the Daily Star. How many coppers does it take to help kill an alpaca? Well, let me start counting for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's quite a small shot. So at least 11. So if you can't get a police officer, bear in mind they can scramble 11 to get one alpaca. Health for the front page of both the Daily Express and the Daily Mirror. Miracle jab to stop heart attacks is the Mirror. And a similar theme for the Daily Express. Revolutionary jab, heart attacks. And lastly, the Financial Times. Decade high Eurozone inflation raises heat on ECB, European Central Bank, to cut stimulus. That's a story we'll look at in a few moments' time. There's the other side of the Atlantic. The front page is there, waking up to, well, they're always rather wordy, some of these headlines, aren't they? Wall Street Journal, Biden defense exit as Taliban chief pull out. Washington Post, Biden declares end to war, defense exit. New York Times, spurning critics.
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Southern Perimeter Road.
Biden calls exit notable success. And you may recall around this time yesterday, I'd seen a picture of the president looking at his watch as the bodies of those mostly Marines, there were 13 personnel, they weren't all Marines, but 13 US military personnel who were killed during the evacuation. And he checked his watch a couple of times, and I made it over. None of you are furious. Why are you going on about a man? Well, because it is incredibly insensitive to do that, as the bodies of men and women who serve under you.
Exit the roundabout onto Southern Perimeter Road.
Is all across the front page of the New York Post. There is a picture of the president checking his watch.
In 300 yards, at the roundabout, take the second exit and stay on Southern Perimeter Road.
And I didn't see the video. I saw one still shot online, and I thought that's going to get ugly, and it has. And I have to say, I think probably quite rightly, if he can't actually watch as the bodies come under, it's more important to look at his watch. But he makes his own time anyway. What if he's late for something? He's the president of the United States. They're going to wait.
Exit the roundabout onto Southern Perimeter Road. Continue on Southern Perimeter Road for 1.5 miles.
Your view on those two lines. Good morning. I'm all right. Bit puzzled by the president, but that I think possibly might go on for a few more years. What do you think?
Well, I think poor old Joe, when you give him a hard time for the origins of this, we're back in the 19th century, this debate.
Well, yeah, but I've said so many times, it's the evacuation, it's the execution of the evacuation that's gone wrong.
It was chaotic. What else were you expecting? So
I'm expecting him to keep a core of US military, and then I'm sure UK would have kept a core, and an orderly withdrawal. I know evacuations are never going to be perfect, I get all of that, but it didn't have to leave tens of billions of pounds worth of helicopters with holes shot in them, and apparently thousands of people couldn't get out between the UK and US. Didn't need to be like that, did it?
Well, when you put them in the first place, this was all that we saw this coming 20 years ago.
I
They're
hear you.
piling all this equipment in, people making loads of money out of it. They thought it was really good business. And now this has happened, and it's not good business. What do you think?
Okay, Phil, thank you. I hear what you say about 20. I'm really trying to focus on what the president said last night about the last few days, or weeks, I should say. A couple of weeks as they've tried to evacuate many people, and then again, and of course it's more important to get humans on the plane, but apparently a load of the dogs that they used in Kabul, I would imagine bomb sniffing dogs, they've just left at the airport. You've had that Marine who's been fighting to get however many dogs he can over here. What do you think these Taliban guys are going to do with the dogs? They're not going to take them there as pets, are they? I would imagine they'll just be released. So there will be wild, and by by the way, they're probably tame dogs. So what chance do you give them if a pack of wild dogs come along? It didn't have to be like this, did it? All right, more on that in a moment. Let's look at other stories, and the other big story as we went through the front pages of the newspapers is Geronimo, the alpaca, culled yesterday as the long-running battle over the animal came to a sad end. Emotional scenes as teams of police officers clashed with protesters, and of course the owner, Helen McDonald, with whom we will be speaking later in the show. But let's get an update from the farm in South Gloucestershire, and LBC's Tom Seymour. Tom.
Good morning, Nick. Yes, as you say, yesterday at around 10:45 a.m, the moment that Helen McDonald, Geronimo's owner, and his supporters most feared finally arrived, as DEFRA staff dressed in goggles, masks and overalls, along with officers from Avon and Somerset police entered the farm here near Wigwar in South Gloucestershire, and after around 20 minutes led Geronimo away from his paddock and into a horse box. Those who'd camped out to try and save him protested, but in the end they lost the fight. A destruction warrant for Geronimo was active until Saturday after he returned 2 positive tests for bovine TB back in 2017. And since then, Helen McDonald had been adamant those tests had returned false positives. And as time ran out for Geronimo, the support increased. It came from across the globe, more than 140,000 people signing a petition against his destruction. Mr. McDonald wanted Geronimo to be tested for a 3rd time, or to at least be allowed to live.
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the 3rd exit onto Beacon Road.
To the situation, they had to do everything to stop the disease spreading. And so confirmed yesterday afternoon that Geronimo had indeed been euthanised. This is something that Helen McDonald was extremely unhappy about, as she told us.
It's an absolute disgrace. He did not ever catch disease in New Zealand. He has never been exposed to TB. This is blatant abuse. I'm absolutely disgusted by this government. They set him up 4 years ago with incompetence and bullying and a falsified test that has no validity. And yet here we are.
Exit the roundabout onto Beacon Road. In 100 yards, at the roundabout, take the 2nd exit onto Stanwell Road.
On the Environment Secretary to resign after having calls for an independent vet to be at Geronimo's post-mortem turned down. When asked yesterday about the situation...
Exit the roundabout onto Stanwell Road. In half a mile, turn right onto Great South West Road, A30.
Any animal have to be put down in this manner, but it is really important that we uphold rules to keep TB at bay in this country, because that's the way we protect many, many more animals and livestock across the country.
As Robert Jenrick concluding Tom Seymour's report there from the scene, and we are with that owner, Helen McDonald, in the next hour. More of your calls coming in concerning the success. These are the President Biden's words, the success, and of course...
Turn right onto Great South West Road, A30.
Address the terrorists, more on that in a moment. Staying with the political beat here in the UK, though, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab appears before a panel of MPs later today. I sense that one of the key issues is the level of contact he had, or probably did not have, with key government officials in both Pakistan and Afghanistan.
I'd need to check the call sheets. I don't wander around because I make so many calls all the time.
Something as key as this, Mr. Raab, you'd recall whether you phoned the Afghan foreign minister in 6 months.
Well, you're asking me over an entire 6-month period.
More on that to come. Plus, it got testy with the XR protesters yesterday.
She hasn't got safety goggles on. What are you doing? Please just flash behind.
Claims that the police went in heavy-handed. More on that later in the show. It's 7:30. This is Breakfast with me, Nick Ferrari, here on LBC. And the news is with Simon Conway.
The Home Office has confirmed Afghans who helped Britain over the last 20 years will be able to move to the UK permanently. Their immigration status can be upgraded, having previously been offered 5 years.
In a quarter of a mile, at Clockhouse Roundabout, take the 1st exit onto Staines Road, A315.
Secure safe passage out of
In 200 yards, turn right onto Hatton Road.
Afghan allies. President Biden has described the US withdrawal from the country as an extraordinary success and said he wasn't going to extend a forever war. A cleaner form of petrol is being rolled out at forecourts across Britain from this morning. E10, which is made with up to 10% bioethanol, will be the standard offering as part of government plans to cut carbon emissions. And the weather dry but cloudy for many. Light showers in central and eastern parts at first, which should die out through the morning. Some warm sunny spells for the north and the west.
In 100 yards, turn left onto Great Southwest Road, A30. Turn left onto Great Southwest Road, A30. In a quarter of a mile, at Clockhouse Roundabout, take the first exit onto Staines Road, A315. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, continue straight to stay on Staines Road, A315. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, continue straight to stay on Staines Road, A315. In a quarter of a mile, turn right onto Shaftesbury Avenue. Take the next right onto Shaftesbury Avenue, then turn left onto Roslin Avenue. Take the next left onto Roslin Avenue, then your destination will be on the left. Your destination is on the left.